Hi everyone, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way. My next layout I'm going to do is from Kaisercraft and it's Paradise Found. It's quite a nice travel beachy theme, come whatever. So because we've just been away, I thought that's what I might do. I have added into this some die cuts, which is just some feathery things here. If you haven't got any of this, you could use a stamp, but most people have a die cut that they can use of some form or other. That's the one thing I have added to this kit. I'm using a piece of navy blue cardstock. I've also got 2 cards of white. Because of this set, I'm going to put a border around all of my cards. I am doing white photo mats, so you'll need roughly about 4 pieces of white cardstock maybe. Now with this kit, I've decided from the papers that I am going to use. The pink with the leaf pattern is one I am not going to use. But I use the rest, and also a small piece of the sticker pack I have used. This one here didn't come with the paper pack, but it is an extra that you can get, and this is another extra which I used some of the words and etc. that were on this sheet. So I've used this sheet, a one with a stripe, the spot, which I have used some of the back of this cover. I have used the little bit of this. I have also used this for my tags. And this piece here, when you're cutting it, cut it not 6" down the half. Do 4, 4 and 4, so that you've actually got some of your leaves, because I use some of these, but I do use this pattern here. The extra pieces that I have delved into, I have a box is what do I do with that stuff box, and I've got out of there, I've got some string. I also had some very fine wire, but if you don't have any of this wire, you can use gold thread or string again. So out of that box, that's what I delved into. I also will be using a small amount of cork to do some chevrons and also some love hearts, which I've just cut out with a punch, but you don't need to do that, you can draw them. I also found a sheet of blue words with silver. If you don't have these, just go onto your computer and just type up some words and etc. and put it on a blue background. The same as if you're using bits and bobs and you don't have a wood grain paper, you can go and find some free digital papers on the internet and just print yourself some off. I've used a small amount of the red glitter. The inks I will be using is a Distress Oxide with a very sort of pale green colour, a bit of red. The die cuts I will be using, because I didn't have a sticker book with this, I actually have a die cut pack, which I'm using some of the flowers from that. I will also use some of the leaves and some of the flowers on this sheet here and this sheet here. I will be using some red brads as well. And from my odd box, I found a piece of ribbon. If you haven't got any of this, you could use netting or use a strip of this plain of paper and just do a background stamp. So they're the only things I will be using with the layout. And don't forget, I do have a Facebook group, Project Life Deb's Way group, where you can actually interact and put some of the layouts that you've made, because we always like to see what people are doing. So let's get on with making up of the cards. Now the first thing I have done is cut my photo mats and my white cards. I have cut 2 sheets of whites into my 6x4s, and we need 4 of those cards to be cut into half to 3x4s. So just chop them in half. Like so. So there's all our mats, our 3x4s. Now for the photo mats, I'll just put this here so you can actually see with your mats. I have got 3 3¼ by 4¼ I have got 3x4s, and I have got 4 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And what that is your 3x4s. It will just give you a tiny little 1/8 of an inch border all around to give your photographs a pop. Now with your blue, I have 2 3x4s, 1 blue of a 3¼ by 4¼ I've got 2 blue mats of 3½ by 4½ and 1 blue mat of 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So if you cut your sheets to that, now with your base sheets, these ones here, of all your coloured cardstocks, so when I do my cutting, which I'll show you in a minute, once I've done my base colours, they are actually chopped down to 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, so that all your base sheets, when you put them onto your white cardstock, they have that tiny 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. So they are the base cardstocks that you will need, and I will actually show you which cards I have, colours I've cut for my base cards. Now this is the striped sheet. I have done 2 cards facing this way, so with my full sheet of paper I cut it by 6 by 6, and then I cut 2 strips out of that, and on the other side, because this is on the other side of the layout, you always make sure that your stripes run the same way. So I've cut a 4 by 6 sheet, so it's on the opposite side. The rest of the cardstock, it doesn't matter which way you really cut, because it will all work out the same. On this card here, on this sheet of paper, don't forget to always chop your little words off of here, because you can actually use all of these word strips. Now with this particular card, I have cut the bottom piece down here into 2 cards like this, and then just here I chopped the other one and I've cut that into 3 by 4s. Here is your basic layout that you will need for your base cards. With this one here with the spot, you will need to cut 4 6 by 4s, and 2 of these 6 by 4s you will cut down to your 3 by 4 size. All of these cards I will be cutting down to 4 3/4 by 5 3/4, and as I said, that will give you a small border. Here we are, a small border around your cards, so you'll get a little bit of white around your cards. So there we go. Now from now on I'll just be doing one card at a time and work my way through the layout to show you how I've done all my layering. With the sheet with this, what I've done, I've cut it into 4" and I will be cutting this down by 4" to make my cuts. I will leave this part because I will be using some of my leaves and maybe some on the leaves in this piece here. So cut 4 cards from this particular cardstock because we will be using this side like so, so that you leave and have no wastage. So when you've done your cutting, it will look like this. It will look like this. Just cut 2 6x4s here, or if you want to cut these ready, this one here is a 3.5 and this one here is a 4.5. Now onto this particular card, I'm using my bit of lacy stuff. If not, just do a layering stamp. You could put print, anything that you would like. From the Euphoria pack I got the big Enjoy. I've backed it onto blue cardstock and I'm just going to edge it with the blue so that it actually pops out at you. In my words, I have done Dare to Dream, which I have just edged with white to make it pop, which will go here. Now I've cut my love heart out of cork and I've got a self-adhesive cord, but you can just stick it down. And what I did with these is it didn't actually stand out enough, so I've just gone round with a texter and done like stitching around cork and also with the small one. Just makes it stand out that little bit more. If you haven't got any cork, just use some craft cardstock or anything like that that you can lay your hands on. Now with this particular love heart, I will be putting a couple of nice red brads. If you haven't got brads and you've got some red jewel drops, you could use your red jewel drops for that if you haven't got brads. Okay, so we have done those 2 now and we've cut everything. And a forward, I always keep all your scraps for your blues and that because you will need them for making things pop, so it always is. Now I wanted a tag, which you will have this here, so just cut yourself a piece of this so it's roughly just with a little border either side. I always have my little template that I use to cut I just sort of keep this hanging around. It just makes it easier in the long run. And then use a punch to make your hole. Now with this, once again, I have gone round and just very, very quickly drawn a quick line around to make it look like a proper shipping tag. Just make some of these a bit darker. Like so. Just adds that little bit. I also decided to add a little bit of gold because I've got gold writing in my writing. I don't know whether you can see that, but I've done the old, I've just got a bit of foil paper. If you haven't got that, you could use some gold cardstock or gold washi. Once again, it's very easy to do. And what I did with this, I did the very old simple lay your tape down, making sure that you have it straight, trim the excess off, and then just take your tape off. And then just put your gold foil down and just burnish it with your finger. It's a very inexpensive way of getting a bit of gold foiling into your, and I've got the piece of string to put through the tag. I always put my hole through the front to the back so that your loop is always the same, like so. Now you can actually undo this and make it fluffy if you want to, just like that, if you want to unravel that a bit to make it a bit more rustic. Now what I'm going to do now, I will stick this down like so, just on a slight slant. Your wood grain paper is always fantastic for doing tags. You don't have to buy tags, you can always make all your own. There we go. Oh, and before we put this down, sorry, take that off, put some more tape. You need to actually stick your love heart like so, and just get your, these just came from IKEA. They're a really nice handy thing to do your progging with. You just need a couple of your little brads or your dots or anything else, and I use a dressmaking yawl to do this, and just prog your love heart like so. Press your brads in, and then splay them out. It's always better to try and not poke these right the way through your cards, because when you put them into the plastic folders, your these prog things actually stick, so consequently it makes it very difficult for getting these cards into your folders. And there we go, press this down so that way you've got a smooth back when you put your card into your folder. Now we just need to put the enjoy on here like so. I'm going to put the Dare to Dream on as well. like so. Now what I did with this, I actually got some of that nice wire. I just used this, keep a piece out, and I wrapped around here. Yep. Fumbling away here. Just wrap round anything round. I then hooked it off, and you've got a nice little round circle. Find your two ends and just curl it under. I think this was just a jewellery wire or something like that that I happened to have from my beading days. So just twist it round so that it collects at the top. Cut your ends of your little wires to sort of poke down and just have sticking out, and then just fan this out like so. And then we are going to tuck it underneath like so. So what I'm going to do here to actually attach it is put a bit of tape underneath so you've still got some free. And then you've got a piece of your sticky like that. So when you pop it underneath, you can attach it like so. Then the little love heart that we did, we're just going to pop that inside here, and there we have our first card finished. Now we're on to our second card. Once again, you've got your 6x4 white mat. I have cut this one down to 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, so it gives you just a little border all the way around, as you will do for all your base cards. So we will just stick that down, and don't forget to actually physically edge so that it makes it pop. So we'll just attach that down. Now this one here was the little green one, which is 5 1/2 by 3 1/2. So once again, it gives you that tiny little border, and I have edged that in the green as well. So we will just attach that down. Now with your photo mat, I've got a 3x4 white photo mat. Now this is your 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 blue mat that you cut. And I just want to put the white on top of the blue to make that pop out. So we will layer that down to give you clue. Now this now will once again just fit in here, and as you can see, all your borders are all lining up. So we'll pop that down onto our card like so. This here came out of the Euphoria pack. I've just edged it round, and just to make this little square pop again, I'm just going to go with a pen And just very quickly I've got one of these barrows that actually erases, which are amazing, because if you do happen to make a mistake, you can just erase. And there we have your little to go down here in the corner. Now I have actually put mounting tape on this, so when you do put your photograph in, it will just fit in underneath. So we'll layer this up in a moment. Now on this, I want just down the bottom, I want one of those little love hearts, which I've put the dots. It's slightly smaller in between the small and the large that I used, like so. And I would like to introduce my brads again so that you've got a theme following through, and I will put them just at the bottom here. Like so. And it just shows nothing goes to plan when you're doing videos. I've just lost my brads, so we will repeat the process. They're obviously on the floor somewhere, so I'll have to go have a rummage. We'll try that again. There we go. So we'll just splay them open. Press them slightly flat and attach our Now I want this just slightly off center, because this is so square. If you put that square, it would just look a bit funny. So I've just splayed it slightly off center, and as you can see, you can get your photograph in there. And there we have our next sheet finished. Now this one's a really easy card to do. You've got your 6x4 white card, your 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 to just give you that round border. So we just pop that on. This card here is your 4.5 by 3 3/4, which is going to go over here. So just attach that and edge all of your cards. These two flowers are from your Euphoria pack. So all I have done there is just attach this here, and I will only be putting a little bit of tape down one side so that if you've got any photographs and etc., but it is enough to attach it. So what I have done is I've bored that up so it's actually over the edge of the white. This one here, I just snipped one of those off to use just down the bottom here. So we'll attach that with some tape. I have got your 3x4 white photo mat for your photo, which I'm going to just slide underneath and organise into the centre like so. I also wanted a little word up here, so I went to this and I've just cut happy. You can choose any of your words Now, because that doesn't pop, and I really would prefer that to pop, because we've been outlining things, I just thought it might be nice to just go and do some lines around your words. And I will put some dimensional tape on this to make it just stand out that little bit. Like so, making sure that your dimensional tape is across enough like so that you can actually get your photograph underneath. So snip off the excess, and there we have, very simply and effectively, our next card. Now this is another one of our cards. So you've got your 6x4 white card. Now this one was, you need a definite very dark edging around this one to make it physically pop. So we will put the lighter part down the bottom. Once you've got that down, you'll understand why you need that darker line round. I have your 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, so that your 3x4 mat has that nice blue edging around to make it pop. So we will attach our photo mat to our blue cardstock. I also have cut from the sheet, I cut the little flower here. I also have cut a leaf from here, which I have downsized so that when we pop it behind, it's not too big. I also have used one of those little blue flowers that we used from that long strip that we had before. Now on this, we have on this sheet here your chevrons, which are quite nice. So I've just cut some strips from there. All I did there, as you can see, you've got lines of chevrons here. So cut that first one off and cut yourself a few lots of chevrons like so. I am going to use these here, so this card will go in just slightly over so that we can put a little flower here. And as you can tell, I've actually got that card slightly off skew. Like so, that's better. So you don't need to use a full strip of chevrons, you're just wasting chevrons. So what I've tended to do is put your card semi down, put your tape acrosswards, and you virtually want like so. So pop your card down, have a look at your flowers to see how they will work, that it's not covering over your photograph too much. So with your chevrons, you can actually get a piece of your tape. Now make sure with your chevrons that you, once again, make a really nice dark edge on your chevron. pop that underneath your card, and you know you haven't stuck and just get it looking nice, and cut the X off right to the edge of your card. Then turn it around I never throw any papers that have got this type of chevron on, because you can always use it and keep it in your stash. So then once again you want to get your arrows and then cut your excess off. Now what you need to do then is very gently just do your inking just on your chevron there. So now what we will do is put those to one side, is get your flower, and this is going to not be mounted, it will actually be flat, so you need to just put your tape on one side so you can actually physically get your photograph through, and to put that right down into the bottom corner of your card. This little one here, pop on, and your leaf just attach that underneath to where you're happy with where it's positioned. Cut off the excess, and there we have our next card, which of course you can get your photograph into. Now we'll do our 3x4 cards. As you can see, I've got the base card of the blue with just a photo mat, your white 3x4. This one I've just chopped off 1/4 inch off of two sides, and then I have chopped off 1/2 inch on two sides of another white photo mat. I've got the word paradise from this sheet here, but you could use any word that you want. All of these have come from the Euphoria pack, and of course my little die cut. Now what I do with my little die cut here, I am going to just put some of the green that you have been using for your edging like so. I then got some of my red and just very lightly tapped the little balls just to give a little bit of red to go with the flowers, like so. I then got my little Glindy glitz and just popped just to add that little bit of extra dimension onto my little flowers. Just to make them look lifelike. And there we have our little extra piece that we need for our cards. Normally on my 3x4 cards, I normally always do 2 full photo mats and 2 eye candy, or maybe one with a small photograph on. So all I have done is just cut 1/4 inch off both sides of a 3x4 white photo mat, just to get that little pop of colour, so when you put your photograph on there, you just get a border like this, and all that is a 3x4 photograph, which I've just cut a bit off. So that's how that works. Now with this one, I need 1/4 inch cut off a 3x4, which gives you that little bit, and then I have cut 1/2 inch off a white photo mat, which will give that little border, so then you can actually put your photograph inside with an extra border. Now with these, because you've only got a small border, when you're doing your edging, you don't want to smudge. Actually, just go up and down like this, and you will get a very nice, sort of like a crisp outline line, and that actually helps when you're putting your cards down to give you that nice edge. So if you pop your card down into the center and then put your next photo mat down, it gives you like a frame, whereas if you'd smudged it, you wouldn't get that look. So that's an easy way of getting a nice border on your card. Now this one's quite an easy one to do. Once again, you've taken off your extra, so you've got that little border all the way around. You need to edge this card, which you can smudge this one, which gives you that softer edge. Put that down onto your photo mat. In the center. Somehow or other that one was just slightly bigger than your 3x4. Okay, pop that into your center like so. Now I want a word on this, so I'm just going to find a word that I like. I'm going to trim it down slightly. I'm going to get a little bit of white card that I have. And I find if you cut a scissor width, just give yourself a little border. Like so. And it will just make that pop out at us. Now I want some dimensional tape on this to make it stand up, so I will do that. Okay, so we're ready to construct. Now what I want here is maybe put this one into the center. We'll put this one slightly to the bottom. I want to introduce a little bit of blue. So if we put this here like so, you need a green leaf, but as you can tell, it's fairly frumpy as it is. So this is why I added, just tear this off, this little bit of greenery just to lighten the whole thing up. So all we need to do now is just attach all of our bits. So we quickly put some tape down. You can use glue. Once again, I would actually overlay these so they actually go over the side of the card. With these fine pieces, I tend to use a bit of glue just to attach those down. And then put the red, you sort of just layer them. Put this one into the middle. And then we put the next one on top. Make sure that your stamens are sort of slanting off. Our beautiful, I want to just put up into the top. Once I get the tape to stick, up into the top, like so. And then we have our little blue flower. Just to introduce that blue that's running through. And once again, just cut your edges off, and there we have our filler card. And we have our photo like so. Now this one here, I want you just cut off your 1/4 inch either side, edge this and attach it to your card. Out of a piece of your scrap paper, you'll need another one of these, which once again we need to edge just the top part. Now I want a bit cut off of here, like so. We're going to cut a bit off. Reason being is I want my paradise down here. So we are going to attach that first. In the middle, down the bottom. So attach this at the top. Then I want some chevrons down here. So what we will do is we will just once again get that nice hard line by just doing, not smudging, and we will attach that to our card. Now depending on where this is, if this was on your page, always make sure that your arrows run to inwards with your photographs. Now if you wanted, you could put a small photograph here. You could actually put some white and use it as a journaling spot if you wished. But I tend to hide my journaling, my major stories at the back as a pull-out. So I am going to put a card filler in. Now I don't like this leaf here, So I'm quickly going to cut him out, and then I can just attach my card like so. And there we have our filler, like so. And there we have our 4 cards. But as you can tell, that actually would be very, very nice, particularly if you didn't want this. Let's just take this off. Oh, if I can get it off. If you added from your little cardstock a little square like this, you could also do a little tag. But if you cut a small square like so in here, like so, and edge it, like so, would make a lovely little journaling spot that you could actually put your date, your year, and etc. And you could also too do like that. And don't forget to outline your paradise like so. So you've got 2 options there. You could, if you wish, put a few little flower or something in here from the small sticker sheet. You have a couple of little flowers you could put in there, or what would be very, very nice, which I think is what I will do, is to put a couple of to tie in with the rest of the theme. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put them through the whole card because I didn't do it before. But just make sure they're nice and flat. If you do have a problem with that, you can actually just pop a bit of tape on the back to cover those brads, and at least then they won't catch. And there we have, just get that tape off. And from that, I'm going to cut from the sticker sheet that little run of flowers that you've got. And there we have our next set of cards. Now we're on to our next layout side, and this is the first portrait card, and you've got your normal 6x4 and then you've got your smaller one here which you need to edge, and this is your 3.5, I think it is. Let me have a look. Yes, your 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. You have got your photo mat 3x4 and the slightly larger bluer card, which is 3.25 by 4.25, which will go on here like so. So we just need to edge these and stick these down. There we go. We have attached our card there. Now I have got the tiny little border strip from the sticker sheet, which I will put at the top here, like so, and we will cut the excess off there. There we are. Now, as I was saying, I have got the cork sheet, so what I have done is I have just cut an inch strip from my cork strip. I have on the back done 1/4 inch lines straight through, and then 1/2 inch I made a line. Now the reason why I have done this, I've done the little lines across so that I can have 1/4 inch chevrons. Then all you need to do to make your chevrons is just go through and cut a diagonal on here all the way through, and then you can cut the other side as you need, and you will end up with fabulous even chevrons. Now with my chevrons, I want to do some chevrons here, but because I don't want the all just thick, one of these I'm going to cut into half, which will give you 2 thin ones, and this is just slightly more pleasing to the eye to have a thinner chevron. That one's a bit, right, we'll just even this one up because it was a bit, we'll cut another one. That one was uneven. So we'll just attach our little chevrons onto our page. I also found another word which I'm going to stick here on dimensional tape. So before you put your chevrons in, put your word in. Okay. As I said, mine's got sticky on the back, which makes it so it's an easy way of making chevrons. So you don't have to buy your expensive bits and pieces. You can make your own out of scraps. If your cork sheet doesn't have any backing, you could actually use your thick tape and just do a tape across, and that would actually work at making them self-adhesive. Okay, attach your chevrons. Cork is a bit hard to work with because it does actually split apart if you're not careful. Now, what I did with my cork, just to make it pop that little bit more, I just went round the edges just to make it stand out that little bit more. Now, to match the rest of my layout, I once again got my brads and just put, and just remember the rule of threes, odd numbers. It's just like flower arranging, you always try to have odd numbers. So just pop your red brads. If you haven't got red, you could use gold, any of those colours, and just splay them out. Once again, just put your bit of tape across to hide those workings, so when you put your card in it won't catch. There we go. And there we have your next card finished. Okay, this is our next card. So you've got your 6x4. You have your green one, which has got the hard line around the edge, which needs attaching. Like so. I am then going to put your 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 mat down. Then put your 3x4 photo mat on. And there we have that. Now, what I'm going to do now is decorate down the bottom here, which I have got from this card. I cut a piece here, just here. I've got one of my words. I also cut one of the one of these that we had, and I've just sort of cut the flower out, so I've just got the single, which I've actually mounted on mounting tape. So the first thing we're going to do is put this flower down here. And lay that down. Now I'm leaving it loose so we can get a photograph underneath this and other bits for layering. We need to put our mounted flower down here, which I'm going to cut a bit off. Now I have made myself a little tiny tag out of the wood grain here, which once again, do what you did with the other one and just quickly do a little circle for your ring there. Now cut yourself a small amount of the string. Now because this is a small tag, what I did here is I actually opened up the string and took one strand. And once again, I always go front to back with my loop. That way your string is in proportion with your tag. I've found a little word called dream, which I just want on my tag. Like so. Now my tag, I am going to slide it in slightly off center. I am going to cut some of these little bits off and attach them with as you can see, there's a nasty bit of white space there, so we'll just attach a couple of these just to fill in that little bit of and there we have your next card. So once again, just go through, cut your excess off to make your card straight. And there you have your next card with your photograph that can fit in. Now this is the next card. Once again, there is your 4x6. There is your 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 there that you need to attach. So you've just got the 1/8 of an inch border. So we will quickly attach our blue card. Then we have this card here, which you do your edging and do a really hard edge, which we will stick down here. Now we do have a larger photo mat for here. Here it is here. And this is a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 card. Just ignore. Unfortunately, when I cut this one, I managed to get the little Kaisercraft here. So what I'm going to do is, I wouldn't normally do this, but I am going to snip just a smidgen off. So we'll just pretend we didn't do that. Okay, there we go. So there we have our card there, making sure I haven't attached it just up in this corner here. Now I want my heart to go up in the top corner there, like so. And of course, with the heart, do the same as what you've done with your other hearts. And put a couple of little brads in. We have our little brads, and then I would like my little word smile, which I want to place. And as you can tell, I always try and keep my borders the same. Now I did one of those curly wire curly things so that both sides have one of each. I used my glitz bottle, so it was a tiny bit smaller. Once again, just put some of it underneath and some of it on the top. And the tape that was on that will hold this in place. If you don't like that, you could put a bit of glue there, but I think because it goes into a sleeve, and what I have done here, I've got one of my little love hearts, which once again, to match up on the other side, I'm going to put in there. And there we have our next card finished. Now this is our last of our portrait cards. I need these words that are down here, so you just need to cut these out of the sheet. Like so. Now you need the words to be take time to stop, the word and, enjoy, then cut out then cut out little things. So it will be take time to stop and enjoy the little things. So once you've done that, you will need to go around your words the same as you've done the others, like so. Like that. So do that for all of your words. Now once I've done that, I'll come back and finish the rest of the cards. Now once you've done that, I have also repeated on my little cutout with the green and the red. I have used the cut apart that you have there. I've got 2 green leaves, a little bit of blue. I've cut from one of the leftover cut aparts to formulate this card. So now what we need to do is put down your card like so, which of course is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 to give you your border once again. Now how I have laid this, I laid this down the bottom. So we're just going to put a little bit of tape so we can tuck things behind. Making sure that our stamens are pretty well, looks realistic. Pop that down. Now I want this green leaf, and this green leaf came from a batch of leaves that they had that I actually cut the leaf out, but I've actually cut all the white bits that was hanging around. So that leaf was there. So I want this to be tucked like so and pointing up. Because it's mishmashed, I want a leaf to be hanging out here somewhere just to even things out. So I'm going to stick this one in here. I then want the little bit of blue at the bottom. Yeah. Now this particular piece I want dangling here, so I am going to snip bits off. Yep. Be very careful because it's still a bit damp from my going to lift this up. And there we have our little fuzzy bits. Right. Now, once you have done that, you need to put your little words in. So up the top corners start first. And try and keep your little borders the same. This used to be one of my favourite sayings of my mum. Take time to stop and enjoy the little things, because the big things don't come very often. And how true is that? And put that one nicely in the middle. And there we have one beautiful eye candy card ready to go. Now we're on to our last of our filler cards. Now with this one here, I do have a confession to make. You need to cut yourself another piece of card, because if you do this one, I've actually chopped too small. You might not have done yours, but you just need a tiny little bit of a border so that when you put it on, it causes your frame. But you do have some cardstock left in your scraps, so just use one with a tiny little bit of leaves if you have to. Then put your next one down, and there's your photo mat done already. Now you do have your blue, which once again, just put your photo mat on, and it should be just cut a little bit off so you've got an even border all round, and there's your two full photo mats. Now with this one here, I will do first. Once again, you have a bigger border this time, so just edge and attach your card. Like so. Now we are going to be just grab what cutter parts you've got left. This leaf here is this leaf that was left here from the other bit that you cut off here. So just cut that out and sort of cut it to make it fit. So there we have that, and I found a couple of blue little cutouts left over from one of our other flowers. So what we are going to do here, we're going to lay our flowers down over here and pop our leaf down. We're going to pop our little blues here like so. Now remember the chevrons that we were cutting? I need 3 of the large chevrons, so just cut from here. I always leave mine uncut until I need them. I cut half but not the other, so you need 3 of those like so. And you also need a word strip in your blue. So now what we're going to do is attach our flowers Our leaf. I'm just putting sticky on these so I can attach them nice and quickly. Okay, so we put our first. Now this one here I actually cut from this sheet, and I think it was here, like that. So I've just cut some of those out. And then we need our larger one, which we're just going to tuck underneath down a bit, because you're going to have your chevrons up here. And then we're going to attach, that looks better. Like so. Attach our little blue. Now the word I want on dimensional tape. And we are going to place this down the bottom here. Once again, trying to get your borders in. Now we need to attach actually I sometimes think that with your cork, if you've got a backing, you are better in S, because it splits like it has, you are better actually gluing it with glue. Let's cut another one, because if you use glue, you can actually reposition them if you don't get them stuck right. That's a much better idea. Okay, and once again, to match up with all that we've done in the other ones, we're going to take some brads. But first of all, which you would be better off waiting until your glue dries, but for the sake of the video, I don't have time for that. Okay, go round then and pop. Your brads in. Right, and there's your little brads done. And there we have our filler card done. Now with this card, this one's a little bit different. We are going to attach our spot on the top. And because we've used chevrons, we're going to use some chevrons here. So just ink the edges up. Now I am also going to make a little tag, but because the dimensions need to be a little bit smaller, I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off, and then using can't find my template. So what you do is you just cut that bit off, turn it round, cut the other side off. I'm going to make a hole for our string. Now to match up with what we have done originally with your gold foil on your other I said, if you've got bits of foil, this is a great one for using up your excess. There we have some nice gold foil on our tag. And I also have decided with this, I was going to get some of my metal just wrap it around the card. Sort of like a fan. So it's sort of fanned out about up there, and then just wrap it under and over to keep it in place. There we go. Cut your little ends off. Like so. And then get yourself a little bit of string, front loop forward, sorry, front loop back, get that underneath like so. Trim underneath. Now we're just going to put this here, but remembering once again to keep the flow, I'm going to put 2 Safety pins in. Sorry, brads in. Get them to splay. And there we have our. Now we're just going to take that up a bit. There we go. So let's put some tape on there. Now, with your chevrons, you need to cut a little bit off there and attach. Just above the halfway mark. And the same goes here. Attach that, and then this needs to be on dimensional tape. You can use any of the words. The word that I got from here came off of the sticker sheet, just here. Now here you need one of your nice little love hearts. And pop your dots. And there we have our cards. So you have your cards like so. And there we have finished our layout. I will give you a full Photoshop once I get all the cards together for you. So here's the finished layout once you put everything side by side. I hope you enjoyed the process, and there's plenty more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and leave some comments for me to sort of say things that you would like. I will be doing a further video on this to show how I put my journaling, my labeling of my photographs, and also how to store tickets and all sorts of other things, to actually show you how you can actually make this into the type of album that you would do for a mini album, for instance. So till next time, thank you very much for watching. Bye.